something that I've noticed during my time in South Africa and just in Western countries in general, such as the US and the UK, is that we've seen how a lot of people don't really seem to understand who Hezbollah is and what's going on in Lebanon. You know, some people say it's a resistance group. Some people are saying, you know, Israel's the aggressor, and so Hezbollah kind of is the resistance to that. And then we've also seen how certain governments, such as South Africa, for example, they've maintained very strong diplomatic ties with Hezbollah. They've had officials visiting them in Lebanon, in Beirut. And so what I'd like to ask you is, for people who are Lebanese and are close to this, what is their attitude towards Hezbollah? Is it the same attitude that is shared by some of these people in the West, like I've mentioned, or is there something that maybe these people just don't realize?
That your question is actually the answer is going to be different. There's going to be different parts of the answer. Um, Hezbollah is not a resistance at all. It has used that identity, that label, in order to get to where it's at right now in terms of Lebanon. Hezbollah is not a resistance. It's a terrorist organization that has pretty much embedded itself throughout the whole country and has established like a shadow government. So they control everything over the state. And that's why like when there's foreign diplomats meeting with Hezbollah, honestly, if they would have met with Lebanese officials, it would be the same thing because Hezbollah controls those officials. So Hezbollah has their hands in throughout the country. Um, if anything, like Lebanese. Me personally, I believe Israel, the IDF, is the resistance because the Lebanese army has done nothing to disarm Hezbollah. They have done nothing to protect the borders. They have done nothing to protect the people. Um, so you should have put a disclaimer in the video, like in the description, like disclaimer. Fatima's gonna say stuff she probably shouldn't. But no, the IDF is probably the IDF is probably our
But that's
resistance.
why we're here. We got to
They're gonna
let
be like,
that
what
voice
did she
be
say?
heard,
I'm like, no,
Fatima.
let's just be. But that's, I mean, it is. The ID, if it wasn't for the IDF and not just like currently throughout Lebanon's history, Lebanon would not be what it is, and it's still hanging by a thread. Um, it's a shame that foreign nations and diplomats acknowledge Hezbollah, that they give them that sort of respect that gives them power to feel that they actually have a voice, a presence. Um, I would have been under the impression if you want somebody to go away or to feel less of themselves, you completely ignore them. The world is not doing that. And like I said, I think emboldens them. But the majority of Lebanese do not support Hezbollah, do not agree with Hezbollah. They do not, they want this to end. And so Hezbollah support is actually coming from the foreign nations, from the Western world, from the protesters that have been so brainwashed and are so led by their anti-Semitism that they will side with anybody and support anybody that is destroying Israel and destroying the Jews. So Lebanon
I
is once
see.
again a pawn.
Right. Of course. And you've actually brought up something very interesting, Fatima. So, as you mentioned, Hezbollah seems to have very strong influence over the legitimate Lebanese officials. But does Hezbollah themselves, do they have their own political faction? So are they part of the current government, or are they really on the outside and controlling from the outside thanks to their military?
So do they have like an official political party? No. But they do have, so in the government, there are ministers that are elected. There are ministers that belong to Hezbollah, that are Hezbollah allies. So while there may not be a Hezbollah political party, there are individuals that serve for the purpose of Hezbollah, if that makes any sense. Um, I'm trying to find like what a best way to give the example. It would be somebody like the KKK. uh, an individual would be, the KKK doesn't have a political party, but there would be an individual in government that is loyal and does serve the KKK. So that's think of that in terms of how it is with Lebanon and the politicians. Um, the the politicians in Lebanon, and I say the Republic of Lebanon because it's a failed state and it's corrupt and it is run by the most corrupt, and that's how Hezbollah has been able to stay in power and to gain more power. Um, and it's like the only people that are benefiting are them, and the people are the ones suffering. So,
I see. I think that your comparison does help a lot. So thanks very much for that. Um, but now that we are talking about, of course, that the majority of people don't want Hezbollah, and they are making Hezbollah are making their lives a lot worse. That really brings me to another point. So, Fatima, I understand that you're somebody who is Maronite, and we understand that Lebanon does have a very big Christian community, which is not that common in the Middle East anymore. And so I'm really curious, what is life like for Christians in Lebanon? Are they safe? Do they have any representation in government? And I guess most importantly, is Hezbollah a threat to them?
uh, so I was recently baptized into the Maronite Catholic Church. So I was raised Muslim. So whenever I would go to
Oh,
Lebanon, I
okay.
would see it from the eyes of like the Muslim community that I was part of. Um, Lebanon was created as the Christian state in the Middle East. That was the purpose, because the majority of the population, we're talking like high 70% were Lebanese Christians. And throughout the years, the number has dwindled down to like top 30%, like the high 30%. So like the population decreased, and that's from just leaving the country because of their various reasons. The economy is terrible, the corruption, the fear of wars. Does Hezbollah are Hezbollah a threat? Yes, 1000%. In the past couple of days, there has been reports that Hezbollah has attacked a couple of Christian villages in the south, and that is because the Christians are speaking out against them and refusing to fight against the IDF. When the people from the south are going up to are leaving the south because there's evacuation, they would enter the Christian areas and the Christians would welcome them in, and the refugees would be completely disrespectful. They would destroy property. They would, there would be problems. They would just, there's so much like chaos and unrest. Are the Christians physically at risk? Like, is Hezbollah are they currently going and shoot? No, they're not, but I'm not going to say that that's not possible in the near future. Um, because
Right.
Hezbollah is people that are desperate will do crazy things to keep power. And so hopefully I'm wrong and that doesn't happen, but that should be probably something that people are um, aware of, uh, and so they can pay attention. And a lot of Christians are like they're aware of their surroundings and what possibly could happen. Um, did I answer all the questions?
Um, Pretty much the only
Okay.
outstanding thing. I probably should have broken this up, so apologies for that. But the only outstanding thing was just, do Christians have any sort of representation in government? Are they involved at all?
They're involved. The Constitution gives a certain number of ministers to the Christians. The president has to be a Maronite Christian. So there is representation for Christians, but does it represent Christianity? No. And there aren't any political parties that, there used to be Christian parties that focus on serving their Christian community, but they have become more nationalist. And so they are serving all Lebanese regardless. Um, but there has been movements lately that have they're trying to form more of a unified body politically in order to represent the Christians more thoroughly. And in the army, yes, there's representation. The government, the Republic of Lebanon it's a corrupt, it's a failed state. It doesn't serve anybody but the corrupt and a special few. So to say that, is there a fair representation? No, there isn't.
I see. So it's like basically just figureheads. So
Yeah,
you've got
yeah,
a president who has to be Maronite Christian, but he's
yeah,
not actually promoting Christianity
correct,
or
correct.
okay, I see what you're
Yeah.
saying. Oh wow, so does that mean you're gonna have to help me with the pronunciation, but Joseph Aoun, is
Oh,
he then Christian?
yeah. And he used to be the head of the army.
Okay, all
Yeah,
right.
he
No,
used to be the head of the army.
okay. All right, now it's all starting to come together.
Yeah,
Thanks, Fatima.
yeah.
Definitely helping me to see the bigger picture here.